You're listening to Your Rivers Are Wrong, the podcast. My name is Merle. I'm here with my good friend Dante, and we're here to build worlds and tell their stories. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Good morning, or evening, or afternoon, whenever you may be. Welcome back to the Your Rivers Are Wrong podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Dante.
And I'm the other host, and my name is Meredith.
And we're here, as we are every week, to talk about the wonderful whimsies of world building, the arts and aesthetics of setting up a setting and telling stories born from it.
Yes.
Now today is just a little bit special, just a little bit different.
A little bit, yeah.
Now for you
Tiny
guys,
bit.
For you guys at home, this might not sound different at all. Maybe the audio quality has changed a little bit.
Depending on how well we edit this.
We're a little bit farther from our mics than usual for a very important reason. We're recording this live.
Yes, it's happening. It's real.
We're in the same room at the same time, live from the Netherlands. We are no longer 6 hours apart.
So much.
We don't have to deal with the quarter-second delay between conversation of recording this through Discord. Mm-hmm. We are literally looking at each other, not through any camera or screen.
I know how tall you are now.
I know how tall you are now.
I understand that you have like a bottom half of your body.
Yes, it exists.
Now.
Yeah, the camera never catches
real.
that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it took us a little bit of time to get, or it took me a little, not necessarily.
I didn't do anything.
It took me a little bit of time to look at you while I'm talking to you, because I don't usually have to do that, because this is the first time that we've ever met in person.
Yeah.
After like 3.5 years of sorting our way through D&D and everything in between. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But yeah, this is crazy.
It finally happened.
Now, again, on your end, this changes literally nothing.
No.
All it does
We're like super excited about something that you don't see.
And this will change
Don't realize.
Maybe like it'll save us maybe a half hour of editing at most.
Yeah.
But this is an important an important landmark in episode 30 of Your Rivers Are Wrong.
Yes.
Where we talk about what we always love to talk about, world building.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I would be remiss to not mention what the heck it's been like to be an American who does not speak, I'm from New York, by the way, if it wasn't caught before, who doesn't speak the language, to arrive in a country that I do not understand a word that anyone is saying. Yeah. Like everybody has a secret they're not willing to tell me. And just wandering through. And also just like the bus system, as amazing as it is a blur to anybody who can't read the signs or speak the language. And I'm just sticking my debit card in places and hoping that whatever words are on it are exactly what I'm...
Just put it anywhere and it probably works.
Yeah, and if it says okay, I'll click the green button. Yeah. Sure, if it gets me where I need to go. I was running around.
That's very optimistic of you. Yeah.
With my dictionary on my phone out, converting words to English as I was traveling, hoping that I'd figure out what arriving is and what final destination is, and all the words in between.
You got like 7 words in, though. Like, we've been practicing. I think you'll manage to get it eventually.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a
I love the effort, you know?
Thank you.
A+ for effort. Yeah.
Appreciate that. I've just started the trip, honestly. I've been here a little longer than 24 hours. Already worlds of culture shock. I've already been spoken to by a lady for the better part of 30 seconds, entirely in Dutch, not understanding a word. And I don't think to this day she realizes that I only speak English.
I think you like mentioned it halfway though, and then she just refused to understand.
She just kept speaking in Dutch. It didn't change anything. And her life is better off for it, I suppose.
You know, maybe you brought her some like nice listening quality to the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, leaving the right kinds of silences and stuff.
I was definitely the best listener she's had all day.
Maybe you were so blended in that you didn't realize at all that you weren't hearing anything she was saying.
I don't know. I feel if I just say entirely silent, do I pass as somebody from Holland? I don't know.
Well, the people from the train didn't assume you were.
At Amsterdam Central, I ran into all of 3 Filipinos, which is the only Filipinos I've met the entirety of this journey, and probably in the rest of Holland. They recognized me as Filipino, and they started talking in the only language I understood in this entire nation that wasn't when people code switched to English for me. Mm-hmm. And that was a relief. It reminded me that not everyone is keeping secrets from me.
You know, not everyone is in on this complot.
Yeah, not everybody.
It's called speaking Dutch.
But this is crazy, guys. I'm learning new words every day. Mm-hmm. I finally met Merle in person.
Yes.
We're actually recording face to face.
We can look at each other now.
Which is a blur.
It's great.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very awesome.
Well, you know what? Even if we're here today, the content doesn't change at all. Every
We're
week.
still doing a podcast, believe it or not. Yeah.
For episode 30, we will once again bring you all the, we'll each bring you a topic. One from, your plant keeps getting caught in my hair, and that's perfectly fine.
Wait, you can like loop it around.
This is a very tactile experience. I'm getting the full experience here.
Wait, hold up. I will help you out here.
Oh, right, there's probably a cut somewhere in here as Merle was helping get a plant out of my hair. But every week we bring a topic to the table. Usually this table is transatlantic, but today it is only about 2 feet apart, give or take.
Today it's
I got to use meters. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
0.89 meters. No, not even. 0.7-ish meters, give or take.
Sure.
I'm ballparking it. I don't know. I don't know meters.
I like how you have this problem now.
Right.
Usually I'm the only European in the group.
Yeah, D&D that only uses feet.
Yeah, I think we talked about this.
Very
where I'm
unaccommodating.
like getting used to how much feet things are now because everything in D&D is feet.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, again, as we jump
Anyway,
back in, we each bring a topic to the table. I don't know what your topic is. You don't know what mine is. It's part of the fun in it. And we close off the episode with a prompt.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. I think you're starting off this week. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so. I think that's very true. Okay. For this episode, I could like look into your eyes.
Right,
It's great.
looking right at me. Tell me right here. Say it to my face.
I will tell you. Okay. For this episode, I was thinking, I don't actually know how I ended up with this.
Sure.
But I'm going to say it anyway, I guess, because I don't have a bridge for this. Like, usually I have a bridge and stuff. I was thinking about the trope of lost memory or losing your memory. I was thinking about, in general, being lost and how that helps you. Well, it's either something that people use very often in stories to explain the world to the main character. You know, that's a thing where they're like, ooh, this main person got amnesia, so we will explain to you what the plot is of this of this book.
Right.
Sometimes it's done well, sometimes it's really not done well. And then specifically, I wanted to talk about lost memory because I think it has a lot to do with multiple things. Like either it can kind of linger in the area of melancholy or sort of longing for something that you had before or a different part of your life. It's kind of a looking at the past thing. It has to do with aging, which I think is an interesting thing that I don't think happens in many stories. Like I feel it's really nice when you have old characters in stories because usually people are very young and hot in fantasy.
Well, you're saying old people can't be hot?
Well,
is that what we're saying here?
I feel like society doesn't really think that old people are hot.
Your Rivers Are Wrong
Please
podcast
prove me
does
wrong.
not endorse not calling old people hot.
Yeah.
Attractive people are everywhere at every age.
It's
anyway,
true.
You can continue.
It's true. And I want to see this more in stories.
That's fair.
And I feel like losing your memory or kind of sort of talking about the things that come with aging is a very interesting thing.
Of course.
And it's not really talked about a lot. So I think that's something we should discuss.
Sure.
So it's either losing your memory as a person or as a character, or losing your memory in regards to something that's being lost to knowledge. Like, I don't know, the lost sword that no one ever found. And then this legend, and it got kind of forgotten. And now it's in a mountain somewhere, chilling until, you know, the hero of the story finds it out. And then, well, et cetera, et cetera.
Got it.
So, yeah, I think there's a lot to it.
It's one of my favorite tropes. It's so easy
Is it? Okay.
It's so easy to tell us, not easy, I guess, but so thought-provoking to know that there is a truth out there that people are either unaware of or slowly discovering. I like the fact that you just split it up into two different topics. Like one would be lost from age or simply forgetting details of the past. And then there's also, like what you said, the collective memory of everybody just kind of forgetting that something is a thing. Yeah. Often to their own consequence, so to speak.
Yeah, sure.
There's also like magical memory loss that a lot of people tap into. That's just like, so for some reason, you don't have to be old or young, the memory's just lost on you. And there's an aspect that really taps into like when people do know or people do contain this knowledge that has been lost by the character of perspective, usually the protagonist, then it's fun to see how the world interacts with them in a way that they can't quite understand, so to speak.
Right. Like the world knows more than the eyes that you're looking at the story from. Yeah.
Tell me more about the loss of memory from like an older perspective, because I haven't really seen that used in many stories, and I kind of want to see like the potential or something like that.
Yeah, sure. I was thinking specifically, I guess this is the obvious example, right? The sort of dementia arc. But I was thinking of
Dementia
the
arc.
dementia arc. Yeah, that sounds awful.
We never talk about the hero's dementia arc.
Yeah. Why is no one writing this? Yeah.
Because the book should be over, man. The book should be over before the dementia arc. That's brutal. Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
That's very true. Yeah. Okay. So here's it. Here's the thing about old people.
Here's the thing about old people.
That's the worst way to
lay it on them.
No.
Lay it on them.
I'm making this worse, even though I find it important. Okay. Specifically, I was thinking about the example of I think Disney Pixar movie or
Sure.
Pixar movie Coco.
Yes, exactly.
Which is I think a famous, obvious example where, spoiler alert, I guess, but that's for literally everything we ever talk about.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, watch it. Then you
Yeah,
can come
go
back.
watch it now and then press pause real quick. And then in Coco, actually, one of the characters that this is relevant to is also the character that's called Coco, and she's a very old grandma type of character as part of this family of, I don't know how much, but a lot of family members. And then she is the grandma that lives basically with the main family and suffers from memory loss of sorts. She's specifically very aged, and it's really, I guess, worn her out a little bit.
Yeah.
Is maybe the best way to describe it. Near the end of the movie, after our main character Miguel, I think is his name, has basically gone through his arc. Is it Miguel?
I think it's Miguel.
Miguel?
That's the American way of saying it. I don't know the official.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Huh. Should we look this up?
No, it's fine. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. After the main character, Miguel, not sure, kind of goes through his arc and then finds his love for music again, and it's a very lovely movie. But then in the end, specifically, he goes to Grandma Coco and sings a song for her, and you can kind of see her eyes, and I think this is a real life thing too, where you can see her eyes lit up by the memory that is basically being stirred because of this music. And it's an awesome moment in the movie, and I think a lot of people, including me, cried.
Of course, of course.
The Pixar way. And I think it's a beautiful moment because it kind of says so much about a person. You can really see a person change when their memories change in the moment, if that makes sense. And I think that's a really lovely and super cool thing to explore in a story. On one hand, that talks about old people because, dementia is very prevalent in more aged characters.
Of course, yeah.
And then on the other hand, you have what you were kind of talking about, I think, the sort of amnesia arc or the, loss of memory by this super incredible spell that I just did to you. And then, random other reasons that can kind of have that same effect on a character, I think.
Of course.
And that's a really nice mechanic to use. Yeah.
Yeah. There's absolutely an emotional attachment to memories, right? That kind of this intangible thing that everybody understands, that memories, whether they be good or bad or strangely experienced, are valuable. They are precious, and they have an emotion that sticks with. They had that whole Inside Out, that whole movie where memories are attached to emotions. And the loss of them is very painful because often it's irreversible. Often it's irreparable. There is something that that is so intangible that it cannot be gained back through normal means. It's ephemeral in its time with you in your head and all that. So when people lose memories, they lose bits of themselves, bits of identity, motes of happiness.
Yeah, for sure.
Things that make you are tied to everything that you've experienced. Your demeanor, your personality, all of that is so intrinsically tied to what you've experienced. This whole collection of things that belong to you and only you. We were talking about that fake word Sonder earlier today, where everybody has a different set of memories, impossible to account for from person to person. Like, I'll never know all of Marile's memories, and she'll never know all of mine.
Yeah.
And they're so uniquely personal and valuable that when you lose it, nobody can help you gain it back. You can't gain it back.
It's such individual knowledge, I think.
I think when people mourn for great collections of knowledge that are lost, like the Library of Alexandria, or things lost to decay and deterioration, it feels like progression is halted, or things are being pulled back to a point that it's painful to lose the potential, the what could happen. It's just a deeply personal thing to let go of, and almost always unwillingly.
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the fact that it's both super subjective, as in it's so much from your own perspective, like it's you literally can't explain it to someone else because it's so personal and so individual. It's also something to truly mourn because exactly what you were saying, nobody can help you with it. But also, like, even when you're alive, I will never know all the memories of somebody else.
Right.
I can ask about it and I can research it, I guess, or have conversations about it, but I'll never know the full kind of scope of it. So if something that has either so much mystery behind it or so much open-endedness to it is lost and then for sure can never be accessed, it's kind of a personal loss as well.
Yeah. And even if like someone explains to you what you did, what you've been through, who you know, the life you've lived, it's not the same. It would feel foreign
it's
to
different.
have it returned to you in that way. Like there's always those movies where someone wakes up from amnesia and their loved one was like, hey, we've spent years together.
Yeah.
Does anything I'm telling you mean anything? And it's like, no, because they weren't my personal memories.
Yeah.
You were telling me what I should be feeling about these events that have occurred, and only I could really identify what it was that I believed or felt or experienced, and it's hollow, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think also because this whole process has to happen after you have the initial conversation of, hey, you either lost your memory or your memory has been restored to you and all this time has happened without you knowing about it or something. The fact that that conversation has to lead to such a large recovery process, like it's really rewiring your brain also, right? Like the thing where you're saying like, hey, do you remember that this happened, or do you remember that we had a fight or something? That's a thing.
Of course.
And then if you don't, you have to kind of get used to the idea that things happened and that perhaps you even did stuff that's not part of what you thought you had in you, I guess.
What if you're having to live through a reputation that you once had and you no longer have that disposition? It's like, I don't want to be responsible for the person I once was if I no longer think about that. But if past me hurt all these people and did all these bad things, I'm to be held accountable because I was the body that once possessed those memories and that personality. What a weird thing.
Yeah, for sure. And it can also be the other way around, I think, because it got me thinking about the example in The Hunger Games, obviously.
Of course.
One of my favorite art grids ever.
Yeah.
Where Peeta Mellark, which is one of the main characters, is basically, quote unquote, hijacked by the enemy, right? Which means that their brain, Peeta's brain, is basically being tortured in a way. It's pretty gruesome, but they kind of alter and morph certain memories of his.
Rewrite him.
Yeah, they kind of rewrite him and make him believe things that aren't true, or make him believe he is aligned with certain people that's not right, etc. And after they basically save him from that situation, the same kind of recovery process happens, except for that instead of that we're talking about lost memory, we talk about memories that have been trifled with, which can kind of lead to a same intense process of I don't trust my own brain anymore in whatever it believes that is right about me or related to me. And the fact that you have to put trust in the other people around you to tell you what you are. It's so crazy. It's some good storytelling if you're doing it right.
Truly, yeah. So many stories lean on like amnesia as a crutch to introduce their world. Like, hey, you are as clueless about this world as the reader. How convenient,
Yeah.
But when there's a profound sadness, when it happens like closer to the end of the story, when you've gotten to know this character already and you know what they've all experienced, and then they lose all of that, wiping like what truly transformed them from the character we knew at the beginning to the character we knew at the end, you can feel this great loss of progress that is so painful.
Yeah.
And it's like, we loved what you became, but you can't just become that again, right? We can't just redo everything you experience. It'll transform you into this great person. You just kind of have to live off your legacy, and it's such a painful process. And even though the great majority of us haven't experienced proper memory loss, but we all understand how valuable it is to possess those, the sense of an identity, and to have that wiped.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you don't have to be empathetic for to truly like understand the weight or burden of.
Yeah. And also because it's so personal, I think it's more understandable as someone who hasn't experienced it. Because I think we talked about large problems before, like the size of universes that is so hard to grasp or stuff like that, right? amnesia, I feel, is pretty hard to grasp. Like, it's a big concept, right? Losing your entire memory, that's pretty wild. But because we all have memories and because we know what it's like to forget very little, unimportant things, and because it's a personal thing, like memories are very familiar to us because it's literally how our brain works, I feel it's easy to kind of tap into that as a storyteller and understand how it would work when someone loses it. Yeah.
Yeah. That is... God, you can go so deep on this because there's so many stories you could tap into for something like this. And it's not always handled perfectly. It's not always done very well.
It can become a bit cliche, right?
It is
at this point
cliche.
it's a pretty well-known thing to use specifically for the info dump at the beginning, or in video games where you wake up and you can see what the world around you is and stuff like that.
Yeah, because when it's done bad, then it's like, well, dang, I just wasted all my time reading about all this progress I was made, and you're just gonna get rid of it? Like, why? Like, what is the work?
Yeah,
of it?
it's a hard build up and an even harder payoff to do it right. I think, because otherwise you're just gonna like anger your
everybody's
readers.
gonna be pissed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's like when Ash from Pokemon goes to a new region and he leaves all of his really good Pokemon behind. And it's just like, what was the point of us watching the season if if you're not going to take all your progress with you?
That's like some personal frustration.
That's another topic. We actually have a Pokemon episode if you'd like to dig back to season 1.
Shout out. Nice. Pokemon shout out.
Yeah. Check out our other episodes. Anyway.
But interesting. Very nice. And very hard to do. I feel like I want to kind of learn about this more somehow.
I recommend not going the practical route.
No method acting. No method acting plan. Don't worry.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it always makes for a good story. Playing with memories in any story that you write is it's a really easy way to get the reader invested in, because they know the intrinsic worth of what that is.
Yeah, I guess
you don't have to explain, this MacGuffin is thousands of years old and powers entire cities. Like, no.
Care about this, please.
No, this is the memory of your parents.
Yeah.
Through your happy childhood.
Yeah.
Get them back.
We feel the weight immediately. Yeah,
we get it. We get it.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
Good topic.
Good conversation.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. What did you bring?
Okay, my topic. If you couldn't peek at my phone, did you peek at my phone?
I didn't. No.
Okay. I have my notes in front of me. Now she knows that I carry
I'm physically able to peek now.
I'm just looking at my phone.
Next to me.
There's time. I can't emphasize this enough. There are entire portions of recording this podcast where I'm not looking at my screen, but instead at the notes in front of me. And Merle is just in my ear and I don't have to track this. But now I can look at her facial expressions when I say things, and it's incredibly distracting. But
don't worry. This is the perks of recording live. We'll never have to do this again. Also,
we'll truly never have to do this again.
Hopefully, in the future sometime.
Listen, you got to come to New York. You got to we do this again. Anyway. I actually I wrote this before listening to your episode with Cherry, which was a very fun topic.
Oh, yes.
We've absolutely talked about this before just because it's one of my favorite topics, and it kind of leans into what you were talking about last episode, in episode 28. It's not last episode, 28.5 with Cherry. Mm-hmm. Today, I want to talk about a topic near and dear to my heart, which is airships. We're going to pivot.
Airships.
Hard pivot from memories.
Let's go.
And we're going to talk about airships. Now,
we've talked about this before, but I could never get enough of airships. This will be great.
We almost always bring this up, and I love how I could pause when you were talking because I could see you were talking. I didn't have to guess at it. This is wonderful. Recording live is such a privilege, and any podcasters out there who take this for granted, I'm so jealous. This is so good. It's so easy to podcast
it's so
like this.
Smooth.
It's effortless.
It's like you're talking in a real conversation
with a real person on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm not staring at the Discord icon for an hour. Anyway, we've talked about this in prompts plenty of times, and we've talked about our general love for anything slightly above the ground.
Oh, yes.
I wanted to kind of intro this topic because I just spent 20 plus hours involved with airports and airplanes, and being in the sky has
You're like an expert now,
has been deeply relevant in the past 48 hours. So I was also watching a series that I've talked about a lot on this podcast, but never actually finished because I can never get around to it. There's an anime on Netflix called Drifting Dragons. I've talked about their music that I love. I've talked about the premise that I've loved, which is basically that it's a slice of life anime on an airship.
Which sounds like the fucking greatest premise
It is
ever.
So good. The way they set up the setting and the characters, and the fact that it's in essence, very slow paced in a very good way, that you could kind of take in the environment and the setting on its own, made me really just love it. And there was a moment on my flight from Sweden to Amsterdam, where I was watching the last episode of the season, because there's only one season. I was watching the last episode, and in the opening credits, they break through the clouds and reveal the blue sky.
Right, yeah.
And it's a beautiful scene, and I look out the window, and the plane is doing the exact same thing, and I felt deeply touched.
Oh, yes.
And I was just like, the music is swelling, and everything's happening.
That's gorgeous, yes.
I just saw the same thing on my computer screen that I saw on the screen in front of me, and I thought it was wondrous.
That fucking rocks, yeah.
It was so satisfying. And this was just me alone, being deeply emotional, glued next to the person next to me in the seat. It's just not
awkward at all.
The setting was totally wrong, but it's perfectly fine. So to get into this topic, I wanted to dive very quickly into the lore of airships in real life, because we could talk about that.
Yeah.
Airships, also known as blimps, were most heavily developed in the 1850s, moving into the next 2 decades. The theorization of flying vehicles was underway well before that, visualized in pictures of like balloons carrying these vessels, not nearly big enough to do something like that.
Yeah.
I think the first one ever made flew up 95 feet and crashed and burned. But in the 1850s was the first steam engine powered blimp. And although dirigibles, which is a name of old style blimps, the word literally meaning like steering, the first steerable aircraft vehicle before planes became really big and popular, were these large, graceful vehicles known as blimps. And obviously,
I can't believe blimp is an actual word. Like, you keep saying it, and
blimp?
I'm like, wait, yeah.
What's the equivalent in Dutch?
I don't know what
We
it
can
means.
look it up later.
Yeah, but
If anybody knows,
it's a fascinating word. But
feel free to email us the Dutch equivalent to blimp at yourriversarewrong
yes,
at
please
gmail.com.
educate us. Yeah.
Thank you. They fell out of favor because they're slow and they burn to the ground a lot when it's.
Wait,
done.
are these like Zeppelins?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Zeppelins
I think I know what you mean then.
named after a literal guy called something Zeppelin. His last name was
good
Zeppelin.
for him.
And it's like rigid frame blimps that were put into practice much later.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it.
But yeah, basically Zeppelins. I kind of want to discuss the storytelling potential or the world building potential of people who literally live in the sky. We're not talking about airplanes where we're like temporarily up there, but due to necessity or preference, people are living in the sky above the world. What does that look like? How does that feel?
Oh.
I've watched 12 episodes of anime, so I'm pretty much an expert. You know, I've pretty much got this all knocked down. But
I saw the eyebrow raise there. Yeah.
I'm glad you can
appreciate it.
I'm glad you can read my facial expression.
This is important information that
I'm
we can now
literally
share
turning
with,
to
with
you now.
the people.
I've pivoted 20 degrees. My voice might have gotten a little quieter.
Worth
'cause
it.
I'm literally looking at the person I'm talking to now.
Yes.
Give me some thoughts or ideas on the first thing that comes to mind if someone's literally living up there.
Okay, so are we talking, just clarifying here, yes? Are we talking about living in an airship or any way possible?
Let's keep it small.
Okay.
Let's talk airship. I'm not talking about floating cities. That's a whole nother discussion.
Sure, yeah, because that's we got
to talk about like economics
that's like next
and
episode.
stuff.
Yeah, that's gonna be
politics.
super complicated. Yeah. If people live in airships, I feel like this is the kind of you're gonna hate me for this comparison, but this is kind of van life, right? So everything
This is kind of van life.
I mean, kind of.
You heard it here
yes?
first.
Okay, but I mean, hear me out. It's basically a very small space that you keep living in, and you can't. Well, maybe it's even worse than van life because there's no like you're really like isolated up there. It's like, basically like a submarine, but the other way around.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no attaching to I don't know electricity network. That's not really a thing. Or you need to like basically need to buy all the stuff that you need for like a good solid long time before if you're ever going to touch grounds again, right?
Yeah, of course.
Or you need to have a sort of self-sustainable thing,
right?
Which is like as soon as you start it up, you can keep going forever and you'll never have to touch ground again. That would be world building wise, I think, even more ideal.
Yeah,
like that's the thing to strive for, right? Yeah, it's super impossible at heart, but also very cool. Yeah, this for me feels like the sort of cliche desktop wallpapers I used to. I used to look up when I was little and I was looking at fantasy wallpapers, and then you would have like this cool science fiction greenhouse kind of like blends, you know, the photo manipulated ones, yeah, with like 2 green plants, kind of like that. I want this on the roof, you know. This is kind of where I'm thinking, but it feels in general like a very hard thing to do.
It is deeply impractical.
Yeah, so impractical.
Truly. So if you're planning to use airships as a living vehicle in your stories, understand that it is indeed deeply impractical. The air supply up there is not very
Yeah. Also, wait, you have to like breathe and stuff.
Yeah. The food, scarce.
Yeah.
Any sort of like electricity.
Not there.
Yeah. So I realized when I was writing this, and I was writing all the different things that would be involved in living on an airship. Turns out a lot of them are just applicable to ships in general.
Oh.
Just being
like
on a regular old
ships?
ship. Like there's a crew.
Like what?
Everybody has their responsibilities.
Oh, okay.
You have to dock to get supplies so you can journey for farther.
Yeah.
You're probably out there for a job, not necessarily for leisure.
But then what's the difference then? Do we have a difference here?
The difference is that if you crash, you fall thousands of feet. That's the difference.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, it's equally kind of deadly, though. Like, if you break your ship, then you die. It's kind of,
basically.
if you can swim, you're maybe lucky. Or if you're in, like, areas where other ships are around, you might be lucky. But, yeah.
So the more I thought about it, this was a deep revelation. It's just a ship in the air. And that's what you're taking away from this podcast, okay? This is what you've come here to listen to.
That's the dumbest conclusion.
How many minutes are you in on this? 30-something minutes?
Yeah,
this is the
your
takeaway. You can't just say your river's wrong whenever you want. You can't just
sorry. Oh, sorry.
You say that for the end.
I fucked up the concept. Rewind.
We'll edit this out. This goes on post. Anyway, so your responsibility as a storyteller is to differentiate why this is different from any naval story, right? It could just be your aversion to water-themed adventures in general. There is certainly an aesthetic to being in the air versus being in the water that is deeply satisfying. Yeah. And I think the biggest takeaway, or the biggest changes, there's two here. One is the landscapes, which you encounter in the water is certainly different. You could either like rocks or big waves. Storms are equally relevant to ships and airships, which is something I thought was interesting.
True, yeah.
On airships, what matters to you are peaks and airstreams, which is also relevant to ships. Again, parallels that I'm drawing, which is basically telling you that it's the exact same thing, but one's in the air and one's intrinsically cooler. But
yes.
But in fantasy storytelling, obviously what matters is what you encounter there. Like how prevalent are enemy ships? How prevalent are creatures that you might have to deal with? Obstacles like whirlpools versus storms that you're truly literally in versus like in terms of clouds and stuff.
Yeah.
What are you trying to avoid? What are you trying to steer towards? What is your ultimate goal? In Drifting Dragons, the goal in this story, the more I say, the more fantastical it is, but it truly is a slice of life thing. Their goal was they captured dragons to eat. It was like a truly like culinary thing to find.
It was like hunting.
Yeah, it was truly hunting. So everybody on the ship stays in the air for weeks at a time to follow dragon routes. Like they're looking for where these dragons show up. There's different varieties, different talents of each dragon. And when you eat them, they don't talk back. This is not really a talking dragon kind of show. It's a hunt and you got to be involved in it. You take that back to the ground.
Yeah.
You deliver those to the towns to resupply, and dragon meat is incredibly rare because only certain talented people can be in the skies.
Right.
It's an expertise.
Okay. Got it.
And I just thought it was so interesting how the refueling process, landing in these specific ports tailored for sky ships, and how they interact with your crew and how your reputation stands. This whole idea of you being of a separate lifestyle from everybody, van life, you know, you being of a separate lifestyle.
The van life,
comes with its perks and obviously its downsides, where you cannot have these attachments to the people of the land.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be out in the sky. You're going to be places. You're going to have to visit things and see things, and you have a responsibility to take care of. The more and more I talk about it, the more the parallels to sea and naval life come. But from a fantastical standpoint, you can only talk about pirates for so long. There's certainly other ways to talk about the same thing.
So what I find interesting about the difference in aesthetic that you're talking about, right? So Drifting Dragons has, created a certain aesthetic around it. But I think the fact that you mentioned, we're kind of done with pirates every now and then. Like, if you do it too often, you kind of gotta get rid of them or try something else. And I think airships, unlike, I guess, sea ships, sea-related stories, have not been done a lot. The only thing that it reminds me of is either kind of space journeys.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of a sort of isolated experience, right? Or, I guess, Avatar: The Last Airbender, where you fly on Appa for like weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
Because I was also thinking, okay, so, your quality of life also depends on the quality of the ship, basically, because that's all you have as a sort of stable baseline, default, whatever you want to call it, for doing your daily tasks or whatever it is that you're doing. So, it doesn't have to be a ship. It could also be like an Appa.
That's true.
Like, what if you permanently live on Appa? The whole thing changes. The whole concept changes. I also find it very fascinating that ships are always so impractical on land, but then are really kind of thriving at sea, which is obviously, what they're made for. But the difference in like how clunky they feel is obviously because they're made for a different environment.
Of course.
Right? So what is the environment in the sky? What does that specifically need to be like perfectly designed for living there permanently, right?
Yeah.
And that changes depending on what your ship is, or how you build it if you build it yourself, or how you, whatever it is that you're building.
Yeah. I think on that point, here we go. One more difference. Airships can travel over land. They're not landlocked to the water.
Sea locked.
Well, sea locked. They're not sea locked.
Water locked. Yeah.
Ocean. Gosh, I don't know what the word is.
Sure.
But yeah, it could tie in storylines to actual land masses. You don't have to commit to being on the water the entire time or only pulling over to port. You could truly just pass over a city if you really want to.
Yeah. And I think what I like about it also is that the environment of the sky is not really a sort of staple in fantasy literature. It is like, or fantasy anything for that matter. We see it in space travel, I think. I'm really thinking like, are there stories that basically exist in our layer of clouds, right? And I can't really think of anyone except for like that one. Airship related things, but they always kind of end up somewhere else. And they're always in relationship to the land or to other planets, if we're going bigger, or to the sea or to whatever. And I think it's nice to just kind of ponder over what the air in itself is as an environment, as a sort of self-contained specific, well, not landscape, but, skyscape, I guess.
Yeah. I just really like the series. That's all I really wanted to talk about. It's not
a valid reason.
It's not a mind-blowing experience to watch Drifting Dragons. It won't change your life, but
that's the worst. Worst way you could describe it.
It is such a refreshing take on a genre that I've watched over and over and over again of ships, of just traveling with a crew, of dragon stories, which I've read so many of. It's just so refreshing to just see somebody take to the skies and really embrace that and not really have it be a one-off or go back to land permanently. This is, I think, uncharted territory in a lot of stories. Not necessarily space, because there's spaceships all over the place. Ships in space. And then I'm realizing the connection. And then pirate stories are very tiring. I've read a lot and watched a lot of pirate stuff, and it's just like, finally, something that chooses to go in a little bit of a different direction.
Yeah. I think this is an interesting take on the fact that maybe I should talk about myself. Me specifically ranted for like half an episode about how much I love pirates. But also, it's very true what you're saying, because pirates have such a specific aesthetic, right? And then airships haven't really been defined yet.
No, they all just wear blue jumpsuits and they work hard.
Yeah, sounds great.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah, that's cool. And I also like that the dragons are eaten. I don't...
Yeah.
It's rude.
I think one of the greatest things about this series, and now I'm going to pivot to dragons because that's what we do on this podcast.
Obviously, yeah.
The dragons weren't personified. They were truly seen as just monstrous...
Just animals?
Yeah, monstrous creatures. Every now and then you would get this dragon has a child, and or this dragon is in pain. But from the perspective of what they call a draker, which is somebody who hunts these dragons, eating these dragons is a blessing to a greater community. It's the same way you preserve all parts of an animal. It's like if you kill a dragon, make use of it, make it valuable, let it nourish the people around you and the greater people. Every dragon is valuable and rare. And in doing so, we kind of nourish the land. Very, very fun.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And I like how they didn't talk. I don't like when the dragons talk. It spooks me out.
Yeah. In general, though, when animals talk, it's kind of a little bit off-putting.
Disconcerting. Yeah. Can't really kill them without feeling remorse.
Like the one when but also just it becomes so cartoony. I like it when you have to speak the animal's language and not the other way around.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You know what I mean? Where you have to understand them in motion or in, This is why I didn't like the dub the anything, I guess, for Princess Mononoke. I think the movie was awesome, and then the wolves talked, and I was like,
wait a second.
Wait, I can't, my brain can't wrap around this, which was a shame. Yeah.
There was one movie, again, quick pivot to Pokemon, where Pikachu talks, and everybody freaked out because that's not normal.
Is it the one where it was super fluffy?
I don't
The
know.
CGI
no.
one?
Oh no. That one was
I
a
didn't see
bit, and that
one.
lasted the whole movie. That was fine.
Oh, okay.
But there's this one Pokemon movie where like Ash is dying as he usually is, and Pikachu just is also in pain, and he did just say some heartfelt words to Ash that was never prefaced throughout the entire movie, and I'm just like, no.
But he just says Pika.
No, it's only funny when.
What do you mean? It just says Pika.
When there's context.
Yeah.
But yeah, that hard pivoted from Airships. So let's stop talking about that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I wanted to talk about.
It's a great topic.
Several hundred miles across the ocean to truly just talk about airships.
Yes, and rightfully so.
And that's why I'm
definitely
here.
Worth it.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yes.
This will forever be known as the one live episode where Dante only talks about one thing that is deeply similar to normal ships.
I mean, I love how this is the end note of this whole topic.
Well, that's not the end of the podcast, thankfully enough.
Hey!
We're going to step into our prompt. Now, look at that pivot.
Solid. Yes.
We're going to talk about a prompt. In this section, we usually just give each other a prompt that we're deeply not ready for, and we try to fumble our way through it, improvising
As
the whole way through.
Yes.
So, you have the prompt for today?
I have the prompt for today.
Fire away.
Are you ready for it?
I'm not, but you can fire anyway.
We're doing it anyway.
I love how the comedic timing when we can see each other is way better.
We're so
amazing podcasters would we be if we could just talk in person? Our timing would be immaculate. Anyway,
you better enjoy this episode.
This is the funniest we're ever gonna happen. This is the funniest we're ever gonna be.
Yeah, that's awful.
This is peak podcasting,
that's
folks.
So depressing. That this is the top. From here, it's only downhill. Only downhill.
All of our jokes have to be funny a half second later than you're said.
Oh yeah, maybe we have to make it more fit into the rest of the episode, so we have to be less funny. Yeah.
Every time we're funny in previous episodes is because we cut it that way.
Yeah.
Let it be known.
We're not actually comedians. We just sound like one.
Anyway, to the prompt.
Okay. Here we go. I have a prompt related to things being lost, as we often tie things to our topics.
Sure.
Yeah. So I want you to hit me with something that you just stumbled upon. You have no idea what it is, and no one knows what it is, and it hasn't been seen for forever. And I want to know what it is.
So no one knows
You've
what it is.
been wandering in a place, you've been maybe a bit lost, or I don't know, running away from something, and suddenly, open clearing. What is it? What do we stumble upon?
Okay, let's pick our genres here.
Sure.
Are we going realistic fiction? Are we going urban supernatural? Are we going
what do you
true
feel,
fantasy?
What do you feel best about?
Big fan of urban supernatural.
Okay, let's go with it.
True realistic setting. People don't know what it is. Okay, I'm gonna tap into.
It's super lost.
I'm gonna tap into some real memory, some real relevant memories here. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
We're in the Netherlands.
I'm
new to the country.
Uh-huh.
I'm officially the protagonist. You said me. You didn't point out a character that I bring up.
Totally own this.
Me.
Yeah. You have the perfect reason for it.
I arrive here. Can't read any of the signs.
Mm-hmm.
Truly lost as lost could be. My phone is dead. I cannot contact anybody for help. So I'm struggling like a fish in the skies, because this would be deeply relevant to the previous topic we talked about. Sky fish are different from water fish.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're in the sky. And that's the only difference.
You don't have to explain it. It was kind of clear from the beginning.
It is. It's not as clear as it could be. Now it's clearer than it's ever been.
Thanks for explaining.
I'm helping them visualize.
Yeah.
Because they were
it's in my brain.
They were
pictures.
like, these fish have wings. No, they're just fish in the sky. There's no rhyme or reason.
Yes.
Anyway, stumbling through an alleyway. Couldn't name you the street because I can't read the street signs.
Fair enough. It's all foreign here. Yeah.
And on the street, let's go urban supernatural, right? I'm stumbling through an alleyway. I'm looking for something to guide me. I find something. It's curiously shaped like a ring pop.
What's a ring pop?
Is this a cultural thing? You don't know what a ring pop is?
Maybe. I guess so. What is a ring pop?
Wait, are you doing this for a bit, or do you really not know?
No, I really don't know.
Oh, snap. Okay. I'm like, because,
we're so funny. We don't even trust each other.
Because you don't know what it is.
No,
it's part of the prompt. I'm in on this, guys. I'm zoning in. We're in the zone right now. We're properly role playing exactly what would happen in the situation. I find a ring pop in the Netherlands. Nobody knows what it is.
It's actually true.
You've never heard of a ring pop?
Please elaborate. I can't make jokes about it if I don't know what it is. What's a ring pop?
A ring pop is a lollipop. Except it's attached to your ring finger.
Oh.
It's like a plastic ring.
Okay.
And there's a platform. And on it is a little plastic stick. And around that plastic stick is a whole lollipop. without the stick. It's just a lolly. It's just a pop part. Is the lolly the candy part, or is the pop the candy part? No, the lolly is the candy part.
Wait, I mean, is it though?
Doesn't matter. It's a ring pop.
No, because if it's a ring pop, then the pop is the.
Oh, you're right. The pop would
part.
be the candy. If the ring.
So the lolly is, I guess, the stick.
The lolly
That's
is a
also
stick.
Weird, but I
We're
guess...
learning.
Mm-hmm.
Educational podcast. Tell your friends.
Educational. Okay, keep going. I'm so educated.
I find a ring pop in an alleyway. It's the only thing that reminds me of home. So I hold on to it desperately.
So nostalgic.
But things of this nature, right? Still urban supernatural. We'll get there eventually.
I mean, we have time.
Lollipops, I don't know if they're like this in the Netherlands, but in America, sometimes they have a mystery flavor. And the mystery flavor
that's cool.
is like a whitish, grayish, actually deeply unappetizing color.
Okay.
And in reality,
very mysterious, yes.
And in the real world, mystery flavor is we had flavors left over from all of the previous flavors we have, but we're mixing it together and we're not dyeing it. So nobody knows what flavor it is. It's just sugar of different assortment of flavors.
Okay, so it always tastes different then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for me, and I don't know where I'm going with this, so stick with me.
Yeah. This is what this is how prompts work. Keep going.
I need to know what this mystery flavor is. This would be the only thing that provides me solace in a country that I've never been to. So I go around and
one thing to hold on to. Yes.
I'm going around and showing this to people. They don't know what a ring pop is. If you don't know what a ring pop is, I don't know if anybody knows what a ring pop is here. And they're like, why are you pointing your ring at me? This is dangerous. So so educate me some more on this ring pop. Would you recognize it as a candy, or does it look like ring enough? It looks
that it looks more like a ring than a candy.
It looks confectionery in nature. It's kind of
like it could be a very abstract one, something like that.
It's like a lollipop if a lollipop was shaped like a diamond.
Okay.
The top is shaped like a diamond. It's slightly translucent in color.
So it's not too candy-like. It's not obviously food.
No, it's not obviously food. No.
Yeah. Okay.
And certainly if it's never been seen
unrecognizable,
before.
basically.
Yeah. I'm just talking in English and people understand me.
Yes.
But they don't understand the ring pop.
No.
So they're deeply disconcerted.
Yeah.
Someone finds me and says, and points me from another alleyway. Someone calls me. That's deep, mysterious voice. And says, hey, I can tell you what flavor that ring pop is. But you found that in an alleyway, so you can't taste it. Let me taste the ring pop.
Ooh.
And I say, but this is the only thing that reminds me of home. I can't simply relinquish this ring pop to you. Even if the knowledge of the flavor would enlighten me to what it is, I can't let go of it because it's mine.
Okay.
He strikes a deal. He says, all right, hear me out. I still don't know where I'm going with this. I'm saying this as it comes.
Yeah.
He says,
I'm invested now, don't worry.
If you trade me the ring pop, I'll give you your memories back.
Ooh.
I pause, as I would in real life, because I haven't lost memories. But this guy's offering them to me. Did I lose memories? Am I really a foreigner in a foreign country? Is this ring pop a deeper thing that I have to think about?
Oh my god.
Why does he want it? What powers rest within it that requires his specific knowledge? And why would he be the expert? How did he know I found it in an alleyway? Things that I've left as clever plot holes that are truly just plot holes and I won't resolve in this prompt. But I look at him and I say, I want to know what I've forgotten. So begrudgingly, sadly, I give him my ring pop. He takes it, he licks it, and he says, I lied. This is just an ordinary ring pop.
Oh no!
And you're lost. Welcome to the Netherlands. And he runs. And that's where the prompt ends, and that's all I got for you.
Wait, that got some good turns in it and everything.
Yeah.
Like a full arc you got going.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was like, okay, I just want to know what this flavor is, but it turned into a whole thing. There was a character in an alleyway.
If someone walked up to me, let's leave out the whole ring pop thing, because I was truly just surprising that you didn't know what that was. I thought that would be a nice mysterious MacGuffin, and apparently it really is mysterious.
Yeah, it really is, it turns out.
If someone walked up to me in an alleyway and said, help me out and I'll give you your memories back, I'm enough of a fantasy nerd to be like, wait, you're onto something. I want to hear you out.
I would totally instantly distrust myself, I think.
Yeah.
Even though I don't trust this other person at all, so it would make no sense. But then still I would be like, but what if I did?
What if I am?
Right? You'll never know because you lost your memory.
What if I am
Scary.
Dutch and someone erased my knowledge of the language? And I've just been pretending to be.
This is definitely how the story should end, because it's the ultimate like sort of fuck you full circle story.
Yeah,
you know?
I think him not telling me what my memories are is deeply satisfying.
It basically renders all your culture shocks like like invaluable if it turns out that you're actually Dutch all along.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've just forgotten about the rich history that is my life.
Yeah. Maybe once he gives you your memories back, you don't know what a ring pop is anymore.
And it's mysterious all over again.
No!
And he walks away with the ring pop, being like, you never knew what this was anyway. You're Dutch.
Maybe he asked. Holy shit. Oh God, this is getting so complicated. I was like, maybe then he asks you what his flavor is, but then I don't know if that works out.
No.
That's too far.
We've gone too deep.
Yeah. Reel it back in.
Anyway, if you know what a ring pop is, send us an email telling us.
Tell us what the mystery flavor is, you guys.
Yeah.
We want to know.
I don't know if there are mystery flavor ring pops. I know there's definitely mystery flavor like Dums.
Oh, well, you totally
Dum-Dums?
convinced me that there was, yeah.
Yeah, probably is.
It's just like the Harry Potter ones where you have like the absolutely gross ones.
Every
the gross
flavor. It's never gross. It's just sugar with all of their leftover mix.
But I mean, did you ever go to the dentist and you got like the sort of, this is such a specific example, but we used to have, until we're 18, we used to have these like, I think fluoride is the translation. Sure. Things that you had to like keep in for 5 minutes and then it would be like good for your teeth. Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah,
because it was awful.
Oh, and you bite down on it and it's like weird and gooey and sweet for some reason.
Yeah, awful. And then this specific sweetness, in at least my dentist practice, you could choose the flavor of the sweetness. Okay. So you could have like strawberry fluoride, or you could have no flavor fluoride, or you could have banana fluoride. And they were all gross as fuck. They were so gross.
That's disgusting.
Because fluoride is just gross. You can't make it better with strawberry. You can't make it better with fake strawberry flavor. It doesn't work like that.
Got it.
So maybe, if you put all the flavors together, and sometimes it doesn't end up well.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break a lot of dreams here. There's no answer to mystery flavor. There's no true flavor you're tasting. Whatever flavor you're tasting is just the majority of whatever the mix was.
Damn, ruined my heart there.
There you go.
Broke my heart.
And that's all we have for this podcast.
Is that the end of it? Okay.
For those listening at home, this is the first and potentially last time we'll ever record live. So I want to just be real candid and say this is a really fun experience. It is so good to be here in a country that I am truly lost in every second of the day.
At least I'm here to guide you through.
Thank you so much.
I will translate for like as long as you're here. Gladly so.
All right.
Yeah.
What do we usually sign off? Oh, right. If talking about lost memories and airships has deeply inspired you to world build and storytell,
so, yes.
As we imagine it does, I wish you the best of luck. It really is a really fun activity, and it's the reason why we're doing this podcast in the first place.
Yeah, please build some worlds. It's a really good hobby, actually.
It's a really good exercise, actually. Will help with memory, most definitely.
Yeah. Even benefits.
It's a memory exercise. Yeah, look, we're a healthy podcast here.
We're selling this.
But as you build these worlds and tell these stories, you always have to remember one really crucial thing.
Yeah.
Wait, we can do this in sync. You want to do this in sync? We could count it off.
We can actually sync this, yeah.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Your rivers are wrong. Have a good one.
See you later.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Your Rivers Are Wrong. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes that you'd like to hear us cover, feel free to contact us at yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. Our intro and outro music is written by Maarten Schellekens. Thanks for that. And again, thank you so much for listening. We hope to see you at the next one.